Basic economics. The principle of comparative advantage. Absolute advantage. Have you ever wondered how two people or countries can both benefit from trade, even if one is better at producing everything?
Yes, that does seem puzzling. How can that be possible?
It's a concept called comparative advantage. Let's say a rancher can produce both potatoes and meat more efficiently than a farmer.
Okay, so the rancher has an absolute advantage in both goods. How can they both benefit from trade then?
The key is to look at the relative costs of production. Even if the rancher is better at both, the farmer may be able to produce potatoes at a lower relative cost.
I see, so the farmer has a comparative advantage in potatoes, even if the rancher is more productive overall.
Precisely. The rancher should focus on producing meat, while the farmer specializes in potatoes. This allows them to take advantage of their comparative strengths.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. So the principle of comparative advantage explains how trade can benefit both parties, even when one is more productive.
Exactly. This concept is the foundation of the gains from trade, and it's a crucial principle in economics. Opportunity cost and comparative advantage. Okay, let's talk about opportunity cost and comparative advantage. These are important concepts in economics that can help us understand how resources are allocated.
I'm really interested in learning more about that. Can you explain what opportunity cost is?
Sure, the opportunity cost of some item is what we give up to get that item. For example, if a farmer spends 10 hours producing potatoes, that's 10 hours they can't spend producing meat.
I see, so the opportunity cost of producing potatoes is the amount of meat they could have produced instead.
Exactly. And the opportunity cost can be different for different producers. The rancher, for instance, might only need 8 hours to produce the same amount of potatoes as the farmer.
Wow, that's really interesting. So the producer with the lower opportunity cost has a comparative advantage in that good?
Precisely. The producer with the smaller opportunity cost, or who has to give up less of other goods to produce a good, has a comparative advantage in that good.
I understand now. So the farmer has a comparative advantage in producing potatoes, and the rancher has a comparative advantage in producing meat.
Exactly right. And it's impossible for the same person to have a comparative advantage in both goods because the opportunity cost of one good is the inverse of the other. Comparative advantage and trade. Differences in opportunity cost and comparative advantage create the gains from trade.
Opportunity cost and comparative advantage? What do those mean?
Opportunity cost is the cost of an activity in terms of the next best alternative. And comparative advantage is when someone can produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than someone else.
I see. Can you give me an example to help me understand better?
Sure, let's consider a farmer and a rancher. The farmer can produce 1 pound of potatoes for 2 pounds of meat, while the rancher can produce 1 pound of meat for 8 pounds of potatoes.
Okay, so the farmer has a lower opportunity cost for producing potatoes, and the rancher has a lower opportunity cost for producing meat. How does that create gains from trade?
Great question. If the farmer trades 1 pound of potatoes for 3 pounds of meat, the farmer benefits because he's getting meat at a lower price than his opportunity cost. And the rancher benefits because he's getting potatoes at a lower price than his opportunity cost.
Ah, I see. So by specializing in what they're better at, they can both end up better off through trade. That's really interesting.
Exactly. Trade allows people to specialize in activities where they have a comparative advantage, which increases total production and benefits everyone involved.